Welcome to Learning Space Africa. Today we are going to be talking about scientific notation, in other words, standard form. This here is a typical WASSCE question where they are asking us to express 0.000344 in standard form, and then we have a list of 4 answer choices from which to choose. Before we can tackle this question, we first have to get an idea of how to first write standard form, and then the rules that we have to keep in mind, and also why do we even need it. So when we are talking about standard form, we are just talking about rewriting any number between 1 to 10, and then we'll multiply that number by 10, and then we raise it to some power. But what do we mean by this? Basically mean that we have a times 10 raised to some power, right? We could also have a times 10 to a negative power, right? So up here, a here, the power here is positive. And the reason for this is that the power, in terms of the sign, tells us the direction that we have moved the decimal from. So for example, if I move the decimal to the right, if I move the decimal to the right, it means that my power has to be negative. If we move the decimal to the left, then it means that our power has to be positive. So as you can imagine, we have to keep track of the power, because that gives it a sense of how big or small our number is. So you might be asking yourself, why do we even need to know how to write standard form? Standard form becomes handy when we are trying to be efficient. And this involves us dealing with numbers that are very, very large, or numbers that are very, very small. So take, for example, our planet, the Earth, and then imagine we have this planet here, and we want to know, we know that our planet is roughly 4.5 billion years, right? So if we take this, imagine writing this number this way many times, it's going to be very, very inefficient. So when we're trying to write this in standard form, we know that our decimal is going to be all the way at the end. In this case, I'm going to move the decimal to the left. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Therefore, I'm going to rewrite this number as 4.5 times 10 to the 9th power. I know that my power is positive because I've moved it to the left based on this rule over here, right? This rule over here. Now imagine if we have some type of bacteria, and then we observed it under the microscope, and we know that this bacteria has a length of 0.00039 inches, right? Again, this is quite inefficient. It takes a lot of space, and it might be confusing for the reader. So we can think about moving this decimal place to the right-hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can rewrite this number as 3.9 times 10 to the negative 5 inches, right? And then this, writing it this way in standard form or scientific notation, actually makes the process quite efficient. So now let's look at some practice problems. So go ahead and pause this video and try to do these problems on your own. Let's check to see if you understood what we just discussed. So for this particular form in A, they're saying write this number in standard form. And we know that for standard form, we are going to take some number A that is between the value of 1 to 10, and then we multiply it by 10, and then we raise it to some power, right? And our power can either be positive or negative, right? If we move our decimal place to the right-hand side, it is going to be negative power. If we move our decimal place to the left-hand side, it is going to be a positive power. So with this case, you can imagine we can go ahead and put a decimal here all the way at the end. Then we'll go 1, 2, 3. So we can rewrite this number as 2.468 times 10, and we've moved the decimal 4 times to the left. Therefore, we've moved it to the left. Therefore, it's going to be positive. So I say to the 4th power here, right? And guess what? This 2.468 is between 1 to 10, right? As A is here. Here, they've actually made our lives easy. They've already put the decimal place for us. So move it 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to have 5.283 times 10. Again, we've moved it to the left. So, and we've moved it 3 times. So it's going to be positive here. What about this one? For C, we have to move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 times. But we've moved it to the right. Therefore, we are going to have a negative power. So I'm going to have 1.23 times 10 to the negative 4, right? So move 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, negative 4. And then this is how we go about writing standard form. At this point, we should be ready to tackle our WASSCE problem. So now what do you think? What do you think the answer to this problem is? So here they're saying now we are supposed to express 0.000344 in scientific notation or standard form. So here I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Therefore, I'm going to have 3.44 times 10. And because we move the decimal place to the right, it has to be negative power. So to the negative 4, right? Move 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I just have to go and look at my answer options. And guess what? It appears that C here is our correct answer. Let's look at one more problem. Pause the video and try doing this on your own. Let's see what you have. In this case, the number that we are asked to express in standard form is 0.0000816. In this case, we are going to be moving our decimal place to the right hand side. So we know that we need to have a negative exponent, right, or power. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Therefore, my answer has to be 8.16 times 10 to the negative 5, right? So move the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what appears to be the correct answer? It appears that our correct answer here also has to be C, right? So move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.